There was this question earlier. We stopped before finishing completely answering. This was sort of a timely question. Actually, it will relate to some of the coming coming subjects. But unfortunately, this is also a little complicated. It's quite deeply philosophical. And just because we had lunch, discussing philosophical stuff after lunch is never a good idea. I think what we should do is, we will come back to this, but maybe some other questions first. We will begin like that. Yes. Okay. We will get back to this. Yes, please. Is the mic ready?
Hello, Rinpoche. My question is about something that was mentioned yesterday, which is form is emptiness, emptiness is form, form is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than form. What is the difference in emphasis between these four statements?
And none and lot. Not so, not, yeah, in one way, not much, none at all. On the other hand, it's quite a big difference. I think we talked quite lengthily yesterday. When a person interact with the object, we always end up. Actually, there is really a sutra that gives us a really good example, like a 6 or 5 blind people who have never seen an elephant touching elephant, and then they all decide how elephant is based on their different experience. Like one of them could be holding elephant's tusk, and they express that's how elephant would look like. Feels like hard, I don't know, crooked, bend. Then one of them touches elephant's feet, and then maybe this person will describe elephant as something like how elephant's feet feels like. So each has a partial, each gets distracted to a partial element of the whole thing. When we interact with an object, be it a vision, sound, whatever, I think we already talked about this yesterday. We either get, so if the first impression or the strong impression, not just first impression, the first or the strong impression, let's say, is like that things exist, apparent, then you tend to forget the non-existent of it. You understand? Remember, we talked about this, okay? So then we think that, okay, things exist, when we should be remembering that it's also It's also not there. Okay, so we fall into two extremes, right? Exist or non-exist. At times, we also fall into both. Things exist and not exist. That's why the third. At times, we fall into neither exist nor non-exist. This is really, we are talking something so subtle level of psychology. So therefore, 4 categories, if you like. There's not only 4 categories, there's also 8, 16, and many. Any more question? Yes, please. Whoever has the mic.
Rinpoche, I struggle a lot with this thing called non-dualistic thinking. How do you actually live it? I mean, day to day, day in, day out, we have so many decision points. We have decision criteria to help us get to the so-called right decision. But how do we even practice non-dualistic thinking? Or is that another?
I mean, vaguely, I have already give you some idea. It's like watching movies, remember? Okay, let's say you are playing with your child on a beach, and then you both are building a sand castle. As a mother, you know it is not really a castle, but at the same time, it is also a castle. You understand? For the benefit of making the child happy, you get involved, you play, you build the gate, you build the, I don't know, the columns, you build the roof, and you actually even engage thoroughly. But let's say around 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock, it's time for dinner, time for going home. Then you, as a mother, as someone who's adult, has the guts and this wisdom, because it's not real. So you say, okay, let's go home. You can just go. Actually, this has happened to us, I mean, look, none of you are walking around with your Barbie doll or a water gun. You used to be really prized possession. You will cry if somebody snatch your Barbie doll. But now you have realized the illusory aspect of the Barbie doll. You sort of know it's not real. It's sort of know it's a toy. But you have now switched to, I don't know, Ferrari. You have switched to salt shaker, tablecloths, vacuum cleaner. I don't know. You have changed that to something else. Flats, cushions, partners, democracy, communism, socialism. Those are our Barbie doll. And come around 90, those are as meaningless as sandcastle. I don't know, around 90, what is it that you will have? I'm sure you will have a toy. Maybe toothpick or an ear cleaner or something like that, or a reclining chair or something like this. So all we are actually asking is why can't you just speed it up within 6 months? All of that, from the sandcastle all the way to the ear, ear cleaner. Speed it up. Anyway, you are going to renounce them anyway. You are doing it as the time goes. And why suffer? Why suffer so much? So, we do partially, we do live with it. There's so many things that we also, yeah. And not only that, I'll tell you something else. Longing for non-duality, everyone has. You don't even have to be a Buddhist. Everyone has longing for non-duality. People love non-duality. Okay, I will give you a proof. Why people like to have sex? In the moment of this ecstasy, like when there's this sex and when there's this ecstasy, people have no dualistic distinctions of things like political correctness. You understand? You don't say things like, may I? You understand? You don't mind baying like donkey. Or you don't mind like jumping like frogs. I don't know. And each and every crazy action is blissful. So there is longing for the complete shrugging off of all these distinctions. Okay, maybe this is a bit too much. Alcohol. Why do we want to numb ourselves? When people get drunk, people get less shy, I don't know, more bold. They say things that they usually don't say. So, there is a longing for non-duality. But experiencing non-duality through sex and whiskey is, costly. It's, it's emotionally very expensive, financially very expensive. And then it also ends up, it's like a, what do you call it? Billiard? We never know where, you want to hit that stone, but it hits a lot of other stones. So then, it's not so, it kind of never works according to how we plan. Non-duality is a gift from India by the, I would say, really, Shakyamuni to the world. This is priceless, actually. It is, we need to, for a Buddhist, we really, really need to carefully guard this. And it actually reflects on everything that is Buddhist. I think I've already told you yesterday. Even like you walk into a Buddhist shrine or a Buddhist temple, there are icons like Shariputra, like monks, well behaved, gently walking and smiling, renouncant, austere, serene. But then there's a Kuan Yin or Manjushri, earring, nose ring, not at all austere. Billionaire, he's a billionaire. He drives, I don't know, a diamond car. I don't know, he's a billionaire. And both fits. One is not lesser than the other. One is not sinful than the other. It fits. These are reflections of the view of non-duality. But I think this is also what makes Buddhism so complicated and so it cannot be used as a, I mean, forget political tool, but even on a mundane level, it's difficult. But anyway, on the most sort of basic level, I think even understanding the non-duality intellectually, I think it brings up some sort of an inner relaxation. You suddenly feel relief, some sort of a big sigh, like, wow, like, yeah. Okay, any more questions?
I have a written in question. Maybe I can help to ask first.
Okay.
When a strong emotion arises, how do we get in touch with our basic goodness when the emotion is so overwhelming?
Oh, there's many answers for this. Okay. What type of person are you? Are you this sort of puritanical, someone who wishes to do the right thing, someone who wants to behave, someone who has the burden of being good, probably brought up in a Confucius family? You need to behave. So naturally, you are now thinking emotions are kind of dirty, bad, garbage, pile of shit. So you have that animosity towards emotion. Well, in that case, I don't know. I actually don't know. This is the thing. Only a sublime, enlightened being could really mix. Just like you mix a drink in the bar, they would know how to mix a formula, a path for you. But I'm giving you a general answer. So if you have someone like that kind of animosity towards the emotion, I would say, let's use that animosity and really learn the downfall of emotion and try to enforce economic embargo to the emotion, meaning, don't feed the emotion. I don't know. And then try to encourage the opposite of the emotion, such as concentration, love and compassion. Bring that up more. It's a basic strategy. You don't want this, then you bring the enemy of this. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of technique in Buddhism. Now, if you are someone who actually experience this troublesome emotion, but you are actually much more courageous, then you can have a different attitude. In the Mahayana Sutras, it's said that emotions are like a footprint of wisdom. If you lost your pet elephant, what do? You look for the footprints. So, moment you find the footprints of the elephant, you can be happy as if you actually found the elephant, even though the footprint is not the elephant yet, because it's not really elephant. But you can be happy. I found the elephant. Now it can't be that far. Likewise, when the strong emotion comes, your attitude towards the emotion can be, oh, the wisdom can't be that far. So based on that, there is so many other technique, such as, vipassana. I think what we have done this morning as part of the ultimate bodhicitta is one of them. What did we do? An emotion come, you do not poke this emotion. You just watch. Emotions are a bit strange. Emotions like a, automatic wristwatch. The more you move, more it feeds. So it runs more. If you keep the watch, this automatic watch, idle, then it runs out. So any kind of a poking, let's say an emotion comes. Of course, if you get entangled with the emotion or whatever the emotion does, if you follow, of course, that's like not only poking, you are just basically feeding the emotion and you are actually, what do you call it? You're multiplying the emotion, of course. But even if you have animosity and if you wanted to stop, if you are doing something, then it's subtle, it's still, you are touching this emotion. You are moving this emotion. Then like the wristwatch, if you move, it charges. You understand? So it doesn't go. So what did we do this morning? Let them come. But I don't mean by let them come as in poking. If they don't come, that's fine. But if they come, you just watch. All you do is just watch. You don't fall into their game. They want you to poke them because remember, poking is their food. You are now applying economic embargo here. You are not feeding them. You are letting them starve. So when that happens, the function of the emotion changes. When the function of the emotion changes, it becomes a wisdom. This is a very big subject again in the Mahayana. So it's like it's like what do you call it? Like a manifestation of meticulousness. You can understand it in both ways, right? Sometimes it's so nice that somebody is meticulous because things are so good. But other times meticulousness can drive you crazy. So it depends on how you actually appreciate or deal with this particular quality. At the moment, say emotion anger, you are receiving that energy as a destructive, unsettling, I don't know, like just unsettling, fear, insecurity. That's why it somehow got labeled as anger. But if you know how to sort of watch, not poke, then that very energy ends up becoming clear, clarity, assertiveness. There's actually a Mahayana Buddhist term for that. They call it mirror-like wisdom. Everything is so clear. That anger's quality is that so clear, so present, so there, so majestic, so what do you call it? So much there. Okay, one more and then we'll go.
Rinpoche, can I follow up on this non-duality? It's a bit of
Okay.
a twisted question. Does the bodhisattva at a certain point in time need to abandon this non-duality? Because I gather we take refuge in.
Oh, yes, yes. That is one famous statement. Keve ulayan never mijao. This is what Buddhist, a bodhisattva should never dwell even on the middle path or the middle view. Yeah. As long as there is a view, you are not getting it right. Words like non-duality, words like a shunyata, emptiness, is words and phrases and the language out of necessity. We have no choice, but we use it. It's a deductive language, deconstructive. There's a lot of deconstruction. That's one of the classic Buddhist tool. I mean, you don't have much choice. I think I've used this example before. How do you introduce for somebody who has never tasted salt in their entire life? How do you explain how the salt tastes like? You can only give them a sugar and say, this is not it. So that's what we do. You give this, not it, this, not it, this, not it, all that. And then disciple or the practitioner ends up having a much more refined sort of a reference. Okay, this is not it, this is not it, this is not it. But at a still sort of educated guess job is becoming very, very narrow and very, very pristine and very, very astute. Even that gets destroyed. And when there's a no more reference, that's the end of the job. And by the way, I was talking to some young people just during the lunch. Never you should think, oh, enlightenment. So no samsara, no nirvana, no happiness, no unhappiness. Feels like a vegetable state, isn't it? Not at all. Not at all. You actually gain, so, just like the mother who is playing with a kid with a sandcastle, there is a constant liberation. You know you are playing game for the benefit of others, Since you know you are playing game, the game is not binding you. We, on the other hand, play games and we are so caught. So it's no more a game. It's a real thing. Even though we keep on saying, after all, it's just a game. But we are very, very much caught by the game. When you're not, I think that's how the Singaporeans should answer. If someone say, what's enlightenment in Buddhism? Not caught by the game. That's it. Not caught by the game we play. And yes, play game we do a lot. Everything. So much. Laughing like a horse. Squeaking. Chanel perfume. I don't know. Things that we do. It's mind-boggling things that we do. I'm not stopping, by the way. I'm not stopping you guys to do this. Please go on. Do it as much. You are not doing it enough. You guys are actually, many of us, we are stuck with somebody's game and we are following that. Why don't you really, tomorrow or tonight even, buy a plastic bag, clear one, and sew your own bag and go to the shopping tomorrow. Wear on your own bag, clear plastic bag. That's unique, fashionable. Why do you have to fall into this prada? Really? Why? This is so sad. You have brain, you are smart. Why do you have to pay money? Why don't you design your own? It's so unique. It's so good. You can do it, and there's a lot of joy in it. Okay, I think now hopefully, we are waking up a little bit. So, based on the questions earlier, we stopped. Okay, all philosophy or religion, or probably even science, is like a, what do you call it? Nexus, right? Nexus. Right, nexus. It's like a bridge. Is the word nexus like nexus means bridge? English word nexus, bridge. Something that joins together, right? Connection. Connection. Basically, supposedly, all religion, philosophy, and I think even science is supposedly like a bridge between two things. And what are those two things? Transcendental and eminent. What's the opposite of transcendence? Eminent in English? How do you say it? The real thing, or mundane, or the mundane, transcendence. Anyway, something that we don't see normal. So in between these two, for instance, okay, like let's say biochemistry. If you are trained in biochemistry, probably you will tend to use hand sanitizer more, because for us, people like you and me, most of the people who are not trained in a biochemistry, we don't see these germs. So it doesn't matter, you touch here, touch there, put your finger in the nose and, in the mouth, in the eyes. But someone who has training in biochemistry, they're trained to see germs everywhere. So you travel around with the biochemist student, they really tend to use more hand sanitizer. You watch. Because that's how they see. So see, biochemistry has now become like a nexus to the ordinary world, that like this bottle, this book, and the real, or so-called the transcendent world, which is full of germs, isn't it? Okay. Now, in many religion, probably there is actually truly existing this transcendental world and non sort of mundane world. So the necessity of bridge, nexus, is important. But you know what? Many Indian philosophy, and especially Buddhism, this world of transcendence and the mundane actually is illusory. So the whole that bridge business is kind of like it's like just there out of necessity. It's not ultimate. This is why the Zen master says, look at the moon, don't look at the finger, so on and so forth. We have heard this so much. Because the transcendence, I hope I'm making this clear, but anyway, for this, okay, so in Buddhism, transcendental world and then the mundane world actually doesn't exist truly. This is the transcendental world and this is the mundane world. Remember yesterday? It's there, but it's not there. I'm still following that. There is no stark difference between these two worlds. But we are used to, because our sense, our cognizance doesn't grasp that. So we and therefore ignorance, right? Because we cannot grasp that. Therefore, we need the path. So in Buddhism, in order to build that bridge between the, transcendental, world and the mundane world, we talk about two truths. Two truths. Relative truth and ultimate truth. But please bear in mind, this language of true truth is just for the sake of communication. It's just so that there's a communication between the student and the master. Buddhists don't believe truly existing ultimate truth. None. Ice cube, solid, you can hold it. If it's big, you can walk over it. Due to a certain cause and condition, such as freezer or cold weather, freezing weather. But sort of nature of the ice is water. You can't walk over it unless you are a god. It's not, you can't hold it. It's, water. They're neither one, they're also not separate. Okay, I'm giving you an example of relative truth and ultimate truth. And teachings of the Buddha speak of these two truths. Okay, when Buddha said, all compounded things are impermanent, that's actually relative teaching. Why? Because he's asserting that there are things that gets compounded. Therefore, things are impermanent. You understand? In the ultimate level, there is no such thing as impermanent. There is neither permanent nor impermanent. Everything is beyond extreme, beyond fabrication, shunyata, emptiness. So these two truths. This is a This is quite an important one. So earlier when we talk about if we have the Buddha nature, so when we talk about Buddha nature, we are talking about the ultimate level, especially in the Maitreya tradition. Within the sphere of the ultimate, there is no time. There is no, what do you call it? There's no time. So basically, there's no such thing as once upon a time when you were an ignorant being, and later applying your dharma for countless of eons, eventually you become enlightened. Such kind of concept only exists within the relative level. So if the person asks, like there was this question, how did we end up, or when did we end up become ignorant? If you still insist on a time, sort of the genesis of defilement, genesis, sort of the beginning, the sort of the first ever ignorance. If you still want to have that answer, then the Buddhist master would say, now. It's starting right this very moment. That's all you have. You don't have anything that's so-called past. That's all, it doesn't exist. Future also, none. It's not yet here. All you have is this moment. And in this moment, you can imagine long ago, you can. That's up to you. And within this moment, you can also think about 3 countless eons later, I'm going to do this and that. You can all do whatever you want within this very moment. And that's all you have. Again, we are talking on the relative level. Now, this reflects on almost, every aspect of the Buddha's teachings. And, students sometimes gets very confused. On one hand, Buddhists talk about karma, good karma, bad karma, etc. But on the other hand, Buddhists talk about egolessness. What is this? Why you talk about bad karma? Don't do bad things, do good things. If there's nobody doing it, egolessness. What's this? It's so confusing. But what to do? Because you have a dream, we talk about waking up. If you don't have a dream, we don't have to talk about waking up. Because you dream like a spider, a nightmare, then if somebody throw a cold bucket of water to wake you up from this dream, you can even thank this man who threw you cold water, to save you from the spider. But all that, the cold bucket of water has not destroyed the non-existing spider. But at the same time, this is a path. You can appreciate your friend. You can imagine that had a blessing, that had an impact. This is how the path works. I think I've written this somewhere. Path is like a placebo. It's a fake medicine given to a illusory problem. You think you have a problem? Okay, we will give you a medicine. But this medicine is usually, from the ultimate point of view, it's not really a medicine, it's an empty capsule. But that's how it is. So for this reason, even when Buddha taught, he has two kinds of teachings. One that does not require any explanation or any interpretation, such as the Vajrachedika Sutra or a Hat Sutra. You read, and that's it. That's what he meant. The other needs explanations, where he talks about once upon a time when I was a monkey, once upon a time when I was a, king, all that, and then you should do this, cause, condition, and effect. Here I need to make one important remark. Just because they are illusory, it does not mean that they are chaotic. You need to know this. Cause and conditions are very, very orderly. So orderly. They are unmistakable and undeceivingly orderly. If you look at a mirror for 1,000 days, your face will appear 1,000 days. Not once there will be an ape, or not once there will be a banana or a fruit or something like that. Not once. This is what we call power of the orderly cause and condition. If you plant marigold will come, not a rice. But the problem is this orderly thing makes us, you see, okay, remember I was telling you sometimes certain things appears and then we get distracted by, it exists. And then we forget it also does not exist. Remember? Here, same thing. Cause, condition, plant marigold happens. Plant barley happens. All this order then makes us believe actually things exist. So the order, this is where Tantra is kind of good. They really know how to explain what we call orderly chaos. I'm sure you have heard the word mandala. Basically, the principle of mandala is orderly chaos. This chaos, by the way, I have a feeling this Taoist, they really know how to talk about this chaos. I think you should read Taoism. They talk about this chaos. I'm very interested in this chaos. So this, by the way, is like a sort of the setup for the, what do you call it? So then we talk about relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. Okay, so let us consider this as a very brief summary and visit to the 5th chapter, the chapter of the generating the bodhicitta. And now the 6th chapter. accomplishing, the chapter of accomplishment. Yeah, sixth. Okay, having a grand vision. Grand vision. I want to enlighten all sentient beings. Keep this in mind, okay? That's your vision. Another vision is, I want to buy a flat in, what is it? Jurong? Is it? Jurong? Jurong? Yeah? I want to buy a flat. I know you guys think this one impossible to do. This one, Jurong, possible, right? But the Mahayana people think opposite. This one, most likely you can't do it. And even you can do it, it's not trustable. And you will not achieve it eventually because you will have to leave. You know, the Jurong flat, not going to happen. Actually, yeah, it's not going to happen. Even if it happens, how you wish is never going to happen. But this enlightening all sentient beings by you only, you understand, without any help, we are talking here, single-handedly. This actually is possible. Not only possible, the moment you even think, I am going to enlighten all sentient beings, you have done actually successful. Mission success. Mission is successful already. You just want to have more success, that's all. Every day you want to have like at least 5 minutes of success. But the other one, Jurong flat, is difficult. Things like that. Okay, I want to live long. That's a difficult one. What do we mean by long? Like a day long? Or a year long? And then, even if you manage to live long, and people are talking about immortality is possible, right? But wow, what a boring it will be. The world is changing and you're now doing your 190th birthday. This is like so painful. How many times can you read New York Times? It's like so painful. Anyway, to live, things like this. I forgot the Chinese word now. May you live 10,000 years. What? Yes. Never existed. They have wished this for centuries. I haven't seen even one who lived thousands of years. What does that mean? 10,000 years? 10,000 years. Forget 10,000. Doesn't exist. May I be healthy? No. Unless you are doing an MRA every minute, every second. What? The MRA, scan, body checkup. Every moment you go to hospital to check what's wrong. Because things can go wrong within a minute, within a moment. It's not possible. Full desire to be rich and desire to be powerful, all all of this, just not achievable. Very difficult. But enlightening all sentient beings, now that is easy. So easy. Just so ridiculously easy. I've told you, remember? 99.99 job already is done by the people who you are so proudly claiming that you want to enlighten them. But they have done the job already for you anyway. By the way, these are not, what do you call it, prep talk. You know, this is not like encouragement talk. This is just a fact. It's just a fact. It's if you can, remember I gave you example. The glass is clean. 99.99 job of stainless glass is done by the glass itself. You are doing nothing much. You are just, I don't know, rinsing few dirt, which is not even part of the glass. We are talking about accomplishment, by the way. Oh. So you have to have a big vision. Your vision can't be small, like, oh, I want to enlighten my husband. That's very short-sighted and very narrow. What if he doesn't get enlightened, like next year? Then you will then be, oh, maybe I'm not doing good job, then you yourself will suffer. This bodhisattva activity, someone here, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are, in management, life management, leadership, whatever, you must be good at this. You should really think about the bodhisattva path. It is the oldest leadership training. It is the oldest management training. Big vision, grand vision. You are really, because that's already giving you, it's like, let's say some of you are dying. Well, actually, all of us. But let's say some of you have been told recently that you are going to die within like a year because you have a certain disease, some fatal situation. You should think about this big vision. Because you have this big vision, if you think about this big vision to enlighten all sentient beings, this coming death is a bit like changing underwear. You understand? Because you have a job to do. This is not going to stop you. You understand? Yeah, it's about time. It's soiled anyway. Soiled? Yeah, it's soiled. It's not good. It's need, different set of underwear now. Because you have the big vision. You have lots of plans. You have a big project. This few small things like death, is this going to, discourage you? Not good. Like a businessman, if you want to really do big business, you think about, you invest millions. Few thousands of dollars losing doesn't matter. If you invest like $500 and then you lose even $10, then you have to really become sleepless. But if you are investing a lots of money with a big picture, few tear and wear, loss here and there, doesn't matter. That's the accomplishment sort of attitude of the Bodhisattvas. We take a break.